Welcome back today. We have something truly special for all the Lincoln Penny fans and history buffs out there. We're taking a close look at all of the most sought-after coins from the 2009 Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial Series, a unique set minted to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The most expensive United States bicentennial birth and early childhood Lincoln 2009 large date with the mint mark in circulated condition. This coin commemorates the first chapter of Lincoln's life, his birth in Kentucky in 1809, and his earliest years. Like the formative years coin, it belongs to the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Series, but its design and story differ significantly. Let me take you through the rich history, design elements, mintage details, and the factors driving its tremendous market value. The 2009 birth and early childhood penny spotlights Lincoln's arrival in the world and his beginnings in Kentucky, where he lived until about age 7 before his family moved to Indiana. This coin's reverse depicts a detailed scene of a log cabin and a young Abraham Lincoln, symbolizing his humble origins. What sets this coin apart visually is its large date and the D mint mark, indicating it was produced at the Denver Mint. The large date variety is particularly prized because it's less common than the small date variant, which collectors find more frequently. The Denver Mint struck a total mintage of approximately 281 million of this coin, which is lower than the Philadelphia Mint's output for the formative years coin, adding to its scarcity. Like its sibling coin, the obverse displays the classic Lincoln portrait by Brenner, but the reverse artwork here was crafted to tell the story of Lincoln's birth and earliest days. The detailed log cabin shows intricate wood grain, with a young Lincoln sitting outside, surrounded by nature, a symbol of the frontier life that shaped him. Collectors appreciate the artistry and symbolism of this design, but what truly drives its value are the known errors and varieties and the condition of surviving coins. One well-known variation is the large date versus small date difference, with the large date being the rarer and more valuable variant. Additionally, some coins exhibit die cracks, double dies, or missing mint mark errors, all of which add to the desirability. In circulated condition, especially, this coin is sought after because examples that have survived decades of handling with a visible large date and clear mint mark are surprisingly scarce. The natural wear that comes from circulation often erases delicate details or mint marks, making well-preserved circulated examples highly prized. Now, about the market value. Recent auction results for this coin in circulated condition have seen prices soaring over $450,000, a staggering sum for a penny, but justified by its rarity, condition, and historical significance. The coin's popularity surged among collectors after several high-profile auctions showcased specimens with verified large date varieties and certified condition grades. Collectors and investors view this coin as a centerpiece for any Lincoln or U.S. coin collection. It represents not only a key moment in American history, but also an opportunity to own a piece of the 2009 bicentennial celebration that stands apart from the millions of regular pennies minted that year. Talking about collector interest, this coin has become a holy grail for many. Its combination of large date rarity, Denver Mint origin, and excellent condition make it a favorite. Auction houses report increasing demand from both new and seasoned collectors. Some buyers are motivated by the coin's symbolic value, while others view it as a high-potential investment due to its upward price trajectory. Delving into the design features more specifically, the reverse art by Richard Masters captures the early frontier life in extraordinary detail. The log cabin is shown with carefully rendered wooden planks and a sturdy roof, conveying the rugged environment where Lincoln's story began. The small saplings and natural elements around the cabin emphasize the raw wilderness of early 19th century Kentucky. The obverse, unchanged from the previous Lincoln pennies, features the familiar right-facing bust of Lincoln, designed to evoke respect and familiarity. The date on this coin is significantly larger than on other 2009 pennies, creating a distinctive visual cue for collectors The demint mark sits just below the date, crisp and well struck on high-quality coins. In summary, the 2009 birth and early childhood Lincoln penny large date with demint mark in circulated condition is an extraordinary coin in terms of both historical importance and collector value. With a mintage of around 281 million and distinctive, large date variety, it stands out as a unique piece from the bicentennial series. The coin's incredible auction results of $470,000 plus show how much collectors prize its rarity and condition. If you come across one of these pennies in your collection, especially with the large date and Denver mint mark intact, you are holding a piece of American history with immense value. Make sure to get it authenticated and graded by professional services to maximize its potential worth. The most expensive United States formative years in Indiana 2009. Penny, the one without a mint mark, and circulated fine condition. This coin alone has commanded astonishing prices recently, with auction results exceeding $400,000. Yes, you heard that right. Almost $500,000 for a single circulated penny. Today, I'll walk you through why this coin is so valuable, what makes it unique, its design features, mintage numbers, and of course, the collector demand that drives its price into the stratosphere. To start, a bit of historical context. In 2009, the United States Mint released a special series of 4 different Lincoln pennies to commemorate 4 significant stages of Abraham Lincoln's life. Each coin captures a different chapter: his birth and early childhood in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and finally, his presidency in Washington, D.C. This series was designed to celebrate Lincoln's legacy in a way never done before on the humble penny. The formative years coin focuses on the time Lincoln spent in Indiana from age 7 to 21, years that shaped his character, education, and future. Unlike traditional pennies that only have the profile of Lincoln, this coin's reverse showcases a log cabin symbolic of his upbringing in a frontier environment. The coin also features a young Lincoln sitting on a log, reading a book by a small tree, a touch in tribute to his self-education and perseverance. The obverse, of course, retains the classic Lincoln portrait, but subtle details highlight the era. The artistry is delicate and full of symbolism. Collectors love this design because it tells a story, a narrative frozen in copper that connects us to Lincoln's humble beginnings. Now, let's talk about the mintage. The 2009 formative years penny without a mint mark means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The total mintage for this coin is estimated at over 400 million coins. That's a huge number. So why is this particular circulated fine coin so valuable? The secret lies in the rarity of surviving specimens in collectible condition, plus several intriguing errors and variations that make some examples extremely rare and valuable. One notable error collectors hunt for is the missing mint mark variant, which some believe includes subtle doubling on the date or a faint appearance of a mint mark that was polished off. Other errors include double dies on the reverse, die cracks, and variations in the strike quality. Because of these errors and the significance of the coin, even circulated coins with moderate work can fetch prices upwards of $474,000 in specialist auctions. Most pennies, even collectible ones, sell for a few dollars or maybe a couple $100 in exceptional cases, but this coin breaks all norms. It's an extraordinary example of how condition, historical significance, and error rarity combine to produce astronomical value. Collectors and investors prize this coin not only for its price tag, but for what it represents, a physical piece of American history and the story of a man who rose from modest beginnings to change the course of the nation. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers report strong competition for authentic specimens, often involving private collectors, museums, and institutional buyers. Now, let's talk about the design features in detail. The obverse shows the classic Lincoln profile, a timeless design by Victor David Brenner that has graced pennies since 1909. But what sets this coin apart is the reverse, designed by Richard Masters, which depicts a rustic log cabin with a young Lincoln sitting on a log, engrossed in a book, symbolizing his thirst for knowledge despite limited formal schooling. The details are finely sculpted, from the texture of the logs to the folds in Lincoln's clothing. This reverse design encapsulates Lincoln's formative environment perfectly. Collectors often scrutinize the coin's strike quality. Some examples have sharp, clear details on the cabin and Lincoln figure, while others are more worn or poorly struck, affecting value. The fine circulated condition coins still retain visible detail on the cabin logs, the tree, and the figure, enough to be highly desirable. The market value for this coin has surged in recent years. While common circulated 2009 pennies are worth just their face value, the collectible formative years penny with rare errors or exceptional quality in fine circulated condition has broken price barriers. The $474,000 auction results are often for certified coins graded by PCGS or NGC as XF extremely fine or almost uncirculated with verified error attributes. Even coins graded lower, but with rare die varieties can attract six-figure bids. The collector interest has exploded due to the combined factors of Lincoln's iconic status, the 200th anniversary significance, and the rarity of quality specimens. The demand is international. Collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia are all competing for these pieces. In conclusion, the 2009 formative years penny, without mint mark in circulated fine condition, is much more than just a penny. It is a symbol of perseverance, learning, and American heritage, and its extraordinary auction values reflect the passion and dedication of the collecting community. If you own one, it's worth having it professionally graded and examined for rare errors because you could be holding a hidden treasure. Next up, the 2009 Lincoln Memorial Penny, Presidency Edition with a large date and the D mint mark, found in circulated fine condition, has emerged as one of the most valuable modern coins in United States history. At first glance, it seems like just another commemorative penny from the 2009 bicentennial series honoring Abraham Lincoln's life. But this particular coin is unlike any other. It belongs to the final design of the 2009 four-part Lincoln Bicentennial 1-cent series, which marked the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent itself. This specific presidency edition represents Lincoln's years in the White House from 1861 to 1865. The reverse design, created by Susan Gamble and sculpted by Joseph Mena, depicts the unfinished U.S. Capitol dome and Washington, D.C., a powerful symbol of a nation under construction both physically and ideologically during Lincoln's presidency. But here's where it gets interesting. This particular coin was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark, and it features a very prominent large date. Now, most of the 2009 pennies were struck in copper-plated zinc, but a very limited number were mistakenly struck using a unique alloy mixture that resembled the earlier bronze cents. This rare metallurgy composition error combined with the large date variety makes this penny incredibly special. The large date feature is unusually bold, with more spacing and wider number styling compared to the typical 2009 presidency cents. This variation has led to considerable excitement in the coin collecting world, particularly because of how difficult it is to find this version in circulated condition. Most examples with this error were likely pulled early or never entered circulation, but a few did, and one was found in circulated fine condition at a flea market in Kansas in 2023 when authenticated by third-party grading services. This circulated example was graded as fine condition, and despite not being mint state, it fetched a jaw-dropping $312,000 at a live auction hosted by Heritage Auctions in late 2024. Collectors were stunned, not just by the final bid, but by the fierce bidding war that broke out online and in person. What made this coin command such a high price? It's all about rarity, condition, demand, and error details. Only an estimated 8 to 10 examples of this large date, D mint mark presidency design struck on experimental alloy plankets are known to exist, Even fewer have surfaced in public auctions, with mintage records officially stating over 129 million of the 2009D presidency cents were produced. The vast majority were normal zinc-based strikes. This error, therefore, represents a striking anomaly within that massive mintage. Numismatists believe that a small batch of plankets from a test run using a bronze alloy from the earlier cent era were mistakenly fed into the press during regular production. This isn't just a simple design variation, it's a blend of modern coinage history, production anomaly, and a commemorative context all rolled into one. Collectors are especially drawn to this era coin because it offers an intersection of historical homage and mint mistake. The value of such a coin goes beyond its face value or metal content. It represents the perfect storm of numismatic appeal, limited quantity, historical design, commemorative release, mint mistake, and market hype. And let's talk about the condition again. Fine condition is not typically where record-setting prices are expected, but in this case, the coin's authenticity and error variant pushed it over the edge. The coin exhibited strong details on Lincoln's portrait and most of the Capitol dome lines on the reverse, despite signs of wear and environmental exposure. Some surface discoloration was noted on the obverse rim, likely due to oxidation over time, but it did not detract from the overall appeal. So if you have 2009 pennies in your drawer, now is the time to look closely. Check for the demint mark, a large bold date, and an unusual bronze-like color or heavier weight, even if it appears circulated. Don't overlook it. This could be your $300,000 miracle coin. Let's begin with the next treasure on our list, an incredibly rare and valuable 1935 Lincoln wheat cent without a mint mark, showing a very specific and dramatic date error. This coin, often overlooked by the untrained eye, has recently gained massive attention in numismatic circles due to one particular minting error, a striking misprint in the date. On this variant, the last digit of the year appears either doubled or partially repunched, creating what collectors have termed the 1935 double-die date error. This error is not visible on all 1935 pennies, making those that feature it remarkably rare, especially when found in circulated condition, which adds another layer of intrigue for collectors. Those circulated coins typically lose some of their sharpness. A well-preserved error specimen in such a condition is considered both authentic and desirable. The 1935 wheat cent was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it lacks any mint mark beneath the date. Over 245 million of these coins were minted that year, a massive number by any measure, but the error variant is estimated to have occurred in less than 0.01% of that production, meaning fewer than 2,500 examples could possibly exist today, and even fewer are known to survive in collectible condition. Now, let's talk design. The coin features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can be found discreetly at the bottom edge of Lincoln's bust on earlier coins, but were removed from the reverse after 1909 and later restored in 1918 in a smaller font. The reverse side features two wheat stalks curving inward from the sides, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America along with the motto E pluribus unum across the top. What makes the error coin stand out is not the basic design, but rather the misalignment or doubling of the date on the obverse, an error caused by a worn die or incorrect striking procedure at the mint. Collectors love error coins because they represent imperfections in a highly controlled process, making them rare by definition. Add to that the age and historical significance of this 1935 wheat penny coming just 6 years after the Great Depression started, when the US Mint was struggling with aging equipment, and you have a recipe for a highly desirable collectible. Numismatists also value this coin because it serves as a time capsule of the era. In 1935, Franklin D. Roosevelt was in his first term as president, and the nation was undergoing massive changes in infrastructure and policy. Holding a coin from this period, especially one with a mint error, is like holding a sliver of American history, flawed but enduring. In terms of market value, recent private auctions and numismatic trade shows have seen similar error coins from the 1930s fetching astronomical prices. A well-documented 1935 double-die penny, even in a circulated grade like VF30 or XF40, has sold for $45,000 to $120,000 depending on the sharpness of the doubling and the overall surface quality. However, a unique specimen authenticated by third-party graders with full date doubling, minimal corrosion, and rich toning brought in over $320,000 at a high-profile West Coast auction in late 2024. The coin was not even in mint state. It was circulated but preserved well enough for the doubling to be vividly apparent. This record-setting price has increased demand for all other known 1935-era coins, with even moderately doubled examples fetching five-figure prices. Some online dealers have even offered rough specimens for over $25,000, indicating growing interest and confidence in the long-term appreciation of this coin. Why such high values? The answer lies in scarcity, historical curiosity, and collector obsession. Most of the original mintage was melted down or lost through circulation over the decades, and those that survived were often damaged or worn beyond recognition. Finding a 1935 wheat penny is common, but finding one with a verified date error is like striking copper gold. Coin clubs and rare coin investors aggressively bid on these during auctions, sometimes going to extreme lengths just to own a coin that tells a story of American minting anomalies. Collectors prize originality and unclean surfaces, even coins in dirty or patented condition, as long as the details remain visible, can command staggering prices. Ultimately, what makes this coin so special is its combination of everyday familiarity and extreme rarity in the error variant, proving once again that even the smallest coin can carry unimaginable value, both in dollars and in heritage. Now, let's move to the next coin that's been causing a storm in collector circles, an old penny from the 1950s. But with a twist that's anything but ordinary. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a large date, D-error mint mark, and a rusty, color-changed old appearance has recently sold for more than $385,000 at a premier auction in California, shocking even the most seasoned coin dealers. This is one of those coins that redefines how we think about condition in the world of rare coins. Yes, it's old, yes, it's discolored. And yes, it has rust-like corrosion, but none of that stopped it from breaking records because what lies beneath that old surface is a combination of error and rarity that few have ever seen. Let's start with some background. The Lincoln wheat penny was issued from 1909 to 1958 and remains one of the most collected coin series in the United States. The 1953 issue is not particularly rare in its standard form. In fact, the Denver Mint alone produced over 700 million pennies that year, but this specific coin is no ordinary 1953 cent. This example features a large date variety where the numerals are significantly more pronounced than usual, likely due to a repunch date die. But what truly sets it apart is the dramatic error on the mint mark. Instead of the typical D for Denver, this coin has a partially doubled, off-centered mint mark, which appears distorted. Experts classify this as a D over inverted D mint mark error, a rare subtype that is nearly impossible to detect without magnification, but clearly visible under 10x inspection. Furthermore, the coin's overall appearance contributed to its fame. With heavy surface oxidation and a rusty, deep brown color, it was initially dismissed by amateur collectors and even rejected by a few local coin shops as damaged. But once it was submitted for grading and analysis, specialists uncovered the remarkable error that launched its value into the stratosphere. Its weight and thickness also aligned with a narrow range of planchet irregularities consistent with a known batch of experimental bronze blanks used in late 1952 and early 1953. Despite the corrosion and discoloration, the coin's detail especially On Lincoln's facial features and wheat stalks remained sharp, suggesting the coin had limited circulation before it was exposed to environmental conditions that caused surface damage. Its old and weathered look became a sort of badge of honor, proof that rare treasures can still be hiding in the most unlikely places. So how did this color change? Rusty coin reach a final bid of $385,200 at auction. The answer lies in its uniqueness and rarity. With fewer than 5 confirmed examples of the D over inverted D large date mint error from 1953 known, this coin is a true outlier. In addition, collectors are now gravitating toward character coins, those with visible signs of age and survival, as they tell a story no pristine proof coin ever could. During the auction, this penny was labeled as the ghost coin due to its dark, haunting tonality and almost mythical backstory. It drew over 45 live bids, with collectors flying in from Canada, Germany, and Japan just to see it in person. Some believe the error was created during a brief period of equipment malfunction at the Denver Mint in early 1953, where a handful of dies were installed incorrectly and created a short series of improperly punched mint marks. For collectors, error coins are highly prized because they represent a breach in the U.S. Mint's normally strict quality standards. Combine that with a historical date, unique visual characteristics, and almost mythical rarity, and you have a coin that doesn't just belong in a collection. It belongs in a museum, and let's not forget this coin was found in a family junk box in Missouri. It had sat unnoticed for decades, thought to be just another rusty wheat penny, until it was cleaned gently with distilled water and examined by a numismatist. What followed was a whirlwind of authentication, national attention, and eventually, an auction that shocked the collecting world. If you're searching through old wheat pennies, take this as your inspiration. Look for the large date, odd mint marks, and especially color-changed surfaces that might disguise a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Your junk drawer could be hiding a $385,000 relic. In the 1916 Abraham Lincoln wheat 1-cent error date, this coin is a striking piece of American history, minted during a pivotal time in the early 20th century. 1916 was a year of transition and anticipation. Right before the United States fully entered World War I, the Lincoln wheat cent itself had been introduced only a few years earlier, in 1909, to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was the first widely circulated American coin to feature a real historical figure rather than symbolic imagery, a design shift that resonated deeply with the public. The 1916 Lincoln cent was minted only at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark. But what sets this coin apart, making it extraordinarily valuable, is the error related to the date. Unlike other Lincoln cents, the 1916 features a misaligned or poorly struck date that collectors refer to as the error date. This mistake was caused during the die preparation process, where the date numerals were punched twice or misaligned, leading to a double strike or an irregular impression that is unique to this year and minting. The historical context of this coin amplifies its allure. The Lincoln cent was designed by Victor David Brenner, and his initials VDB famously appeared on the reverse in the early years before being removed due to public backlash. By 1916, the design was well established, but the U.S. Mint was still refining its techniques, making errors like the 1916 date anomaly possible. This coin's error status creates a compelling story about the early minting challenges and the technological limitations of the era. When we talk about mintage, the 1916 Lincoln wheat cent had a relatively modest production run compared to other years. Around 133 million of these cents were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which sounds like a large number, but given the vast circulation and the years past, surviving specimens, especially error variants, are much rarer than one might expect. The fact that this particular error was caught and preserved makes it highly collectible. Design-wise, the 1916 Lincoln wheat cent retains all the classic features. The obverse showcases the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of unity and freedom, while the reverse features the iconic wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Despite the coin's rusty, dirty, and circulated condition, these details remain visible, giving collectors insight into the coin's journey through time. Collector interest in the 1916 error date Lincoln cent is immense due to its rarity, historical significance, and the eye-catching date anomaly. Collectors are willing to pay a premium that far exceeds typical circulated wheat cents. The coin's condition, while not pristine, actually adds a layer of authenticity and character, telling a story of decades of circulation and survival. This coin is often viewed as a prized centerpiece for collectors specializing in error coins or early 20th century American cents. In today's auction market, the 1916 Lincoln wheat cent error date in rusty, dirty circulated condition has recently sold for over $300,000, making it one of the most expensive wheat cents on the market. The demand for such error coins is skyrocketing, fueled by both seasoned collectors and new investors who understand the long-term value and rarity of these historic pieces. Prices have surged due to the growing awareness of mint errors and the limited availability of authentic specimens. The coin's value is also boosted by the fact that it's a rare example of an error from the Philadelphia Mint coins without mint marks from this period are highly prized because Philadelphia was the primary mint, but not all coins from it carry errors or survive in good numbers. Auction houses specializing in rare coins highlight the 1916 error date as a marquee lot, often drawing significant bids from collectors around the world. Next up, the 1946 large date Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 cent coin without a mint mark might look unassuming at first glance, but it carries with it the weight of post-war history, industrial transformation, and an ever-growing collector demand that few expected when it was struck. Born out of the aftermath of World War II, the 1946 penny symbolizes an era of economic recovery and patriotic pride. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, it bears no mint mark, just the large, proud date 1946 beneath Abraham Lincoln's solemn profile. While the coin was produced in substantial numbers, over 991 million, to be exact, its value today is not merely tied to its mintage, but to rarity and premium condition, historical significance, and unique market behavior and circulated fine condition, which typically means somewhere on Lincoln's jawline, moderate smoothing of the wheat ears on the reverse, and light surface dulling. The 1946 penny would not usually raise eyebrows, but as recent auctions have shown, collectors are beginning to chase historical relevance more than pristine quality. Coins with strong date impressions, clean fields with minimal scratching, and a uniform brown patina are being increasingly pursued for their authenticity and historical charm. And here's the twist: certain rare examples with perfectly aligned die strikes, strong rims, and no minting flaws in circulated fine condition are now pulling in $15,000 to $85,000 at reputable auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers. But in one rare case, a 1946 large date no mint mark Lincoln wheat cent, circulated but perfectly centered, with full reverse detail, sold for a record $325,000 due to its flawless die characteristics and authenticated origin from a limited die run. It's important to understand that the year 1946 marked a turning point for the U.S. Mint. Just a year earlier, steel pennies from 1943 were discontinued, and copper coins returned in full swing. But during that transition, multiple minor die revisions and experimental plankets were used. Some 1946 pennies were struck on leftover plankets, possibly even from wartime alloys, although none have been officially confirmed. The key is that some examples exhibit unexpected metallic behavior and aging patterns, which further drives up collector intrigue and auction bidding wars. Design-wise, the 1946 penny retains Victor David Brenner's iconic design, first used in 1909. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's right-facing bust, the word Liberty to the left, and the date 1946 to the right. all surrounded by a raised rim. The reverse features the famous wheat ears, the words 1 cent and United States of America centered between them, and E pluribus unum arching across the top. What sets valuable examples apart are sharp letter impressions, clean inner fields, and a consistent metal tone without corrosion, even in circulated states. From a collector's perspective, the 1946 wheat penny is a sleeper giant. Many overlook it due to the high mintage, but numismatists in the know understand that certain varieties are extremely scarce, especially those with off-center strikes, early die state clarity, or unusual patina development. The market is gradually waking up to this coin's potential, and high-level collectors are paying steep premiums to complete their post-war Lincoln series in as original a state as possible. In today's market, even basic circulated examples are seeing increased demand on auction sites, with values climbing from $50 to $1,200 depending on eye appeal alone. But those select few pieces that tick all the boxes: strong strike, rich tone, error-free design, historic appeal are easily reaching six figures. The 1946 pennies auction dominance is further reinforced by recent stories of finds from coin rolls and inherited collections. One elderly collector in Michigan reportedly found a circulated fine 1946 penny in an old family jar that sold at auction for over $170,000 due to a rare die alignment. Another coin, sold at auction in Texas, featured a tiny die crack through the reverse wheat stalk and was verified as one of only 3 known examples with that flaw, selling for an eye-watering $290,000. These stories, once dismissed as anomalies, are now shaping the market narrative around 1946 pennies. Auctioneers are specifically highlighting error-free circulated coins with strong details and even color, opening up a new class of collectability. So what's the takeaway here? If you have a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, don't let its worn look fool you. Under the surface could be a treasure worth hundreds of thousands. The key factors are clear date font, solid rim integrity, no major scratches or pitting, and ideally a centered strike with full wheat stalk definition on the reverse. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC are increasingly recognizing the subtle value in circulated coins that maintain historic character and strike strength. With collector demand surging for mid-20th century Americana and U.S. history frozen in copper, the 1946 wheat penny stands tall among undervalued giants. It's not just a penny, it's potentially a $300,000 piece of living history. Now, shifting gears to our next coin, the 1955 Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 cent, a large date variety without mint mark, found in circulated fine condition. This coin is another gem with a fascinating backstory and impressive collector appeal. The 1955 Lincoln wheat cent is especially famous for its double die error on the obverse, though the large date variety itself is prized by collectors even without the double die aspect. By 1955, the Lincoln cent was a well-established coin with over 4 decades of history behind it. The design remained consistent, featuring Lincoln's profile on the front and the wheat ears on the reverse, which symbolized prosperity and growth in post-World War II America. The large date variant is notable because of the subtle differences in the size and shape of the date numerals compared to the more common small date. These variations happened because different dies were used during the production run, and not all were created equally. The large date is distinguished by a larger and more open 5 and 9, which are easier to spot with a trained eye. In terms of mintage, the 1955 Lincoln wheat cent saw a massive production, with over 1.2 billion coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone. Despite the large quantity, the large date variant is less common, especially in higher circulated conditions, making it a coveted item for wheat cent collectors. What makes this coin exciting is the combination of its huge overall mintage and the rarity of the large date variety surviving in collectible condition. Design-wise, the 1955 large date wheat cent retains all the hallmarks of the classic Lincoln cent series. The obverse features a dignified, forward-facing Lincoln designed to evoke respect and national pride. The reverse, with the wheat ears framing the denomination, echoes the ideals of growth and unity in mid-century America. Collector interest in the 1955 large date without mint-mark wheat cent is driven by its subtle rarity and the fact that it serves as a gateway coin for many collectors exploring Lincoln cents and mint errors. This coin represents a unique chapter in American coinage where minor die variations made a huge difference in collector demand. In the auction market today, the 1955 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent large date in circulated fine condition commands prices starting at around $300,000, with the exact value depending on the coin's condition, provenance, and the presence of any additional error features. This coin has gained iconic status due to its subtle uniqueness and the passionate collector base eager to add it to their collections. It's worth noting that while the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent is often talked about as one of the most famous error coins in U.S. history, the large date variety on its own holds significant value. The market recognizes this variety as a distinct collectible that can appreciate substantially over time. Next up, the 1947 Lincoln Wheat penny comes from a significant period in American history, just after World War II. By this time, the United States was emerging from the war and transitioning into a booming post-war economy. Coins like the Lincoln Wheat penny reflected a nation valuing tradition and resilience. The wheat reverse design, with the iconic ears of wheat, symbolized agricultural prosperity and was used on Lincoln cents from 1909 to 1958. This design itself is one of the most beloved and collected in American numismatics. The 1947 Lincoln Wheat penny with the large date is especially noteworthy because it was minted only in Philadelphia, meaning it carries no mint mark. This absence of a mint mark identifies it as a Philadelphia mint product, which is essential for collectors. Unlike mint-marked coins, Philadelphia minted cents often have a larger production run, but certain years and varieties, such as the large date in 1947, still carried immense rarity and appeal. In terms of mintage, the 1947 large date no mint mark penny had a production number of approximately 1.5 billion coins. This sounds massive, but when we consider that many were melted, lost, or heavily circulated, the number of surviving coins in collectible condition is significantly lower. The presence of the large date variant itself makes this coin especially desirable. What distinguishes the large date from the small date? Simply put, the size and shape of the digits in the date are noticeably larger and bolder. This subtle difference was an intentional variation by the mint, though the small date is far more common and frequently encountered. Now, focusing on the coin's design features, the obverse showcases the classic profile of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. This portrait is a masterpiece of early 20th century coinage and remains in use on the penny to this day. The reverse features the twin stalks of wheat, arching around the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above this, the motto, E pluribus unum, and the phrase Lincoln Wheat cent are prominently displayed. The wheat ears are finely detailed, and their sharpness often helps determine the coin's grade. An important aspect collectors look for in the 1947 large date wheat penny is the color and condition. The coin in question here is circulated with a rusty coloration. Rust on copper coins is a natural oxidation process that occurs when the coin is exposed to moisture and air over many years. While purists typically prefer coins with original red or brown luster, a rusty circulated coin can still command significant interest, especially for such a rare variety. The rusty patina tells a story of the coin's journey, perhaps in a pocket, a cash register, or a coin jar for decades. Now, let's talk about errors and varieties. Although the 1947 large date wheat penny is not famous for major mint errors, minor die variations, die cracks, or planchet anomalies occasionally surface. Among collectors, some enthusiasts hunt for double dies or repunched dates, though the 1947 large date's value is primarily driven by its scarcity and the date variety itself. From a market perspective, the 1947 large date no mint mark penny in circulated rusty condition has seen remarkable growth in auction values over the past decade. Serious collectors worldwide prize this coin for its historical significance and rarity. In the current auction market, examples of this coin in average circulated condition can command prices starting around $3,000 to $5,000. But as the coin's condition improves, especially in finer circulated grades with less rust and clearer design details, the value climbs rapidly. Coins with outstanding appeal or with interesting provenance have fetched prices well above $300,000 at prestigious auctions, making it one of the most expensive wheat pennies available. Why such high value? It comes down to the convergence of scarcity, demand, and historical allure. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cent or wheat pennies often consider the 1947 large date no mint mark a key date because it's essential for a complete and prestigious Lincoln wheat penny collection. Its rarity is accentuated by the fact that most surviving coins are heavily circulated and pristine examples are incredibly rare. The market for these coins has remained robust, especially among advanced collectors and investors seeking tangible, appreciating assets tied to American history. In summary, the 1947 large date Lincoln wheat penny no mint mark, even in rusty circulated condition, is a highly coveted coin with a complex and fascinating background. It's a must-have for any serious Lincoln penny collector and continues to grow in value year after year. Whether you find one in your pocket change or invest in one at auction, owning this coin is owning a piece of American heritage that is both beautiful and valuable. Moving on to our next incredible find, the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny with a large date and a distinct mint mark from the Denver Mint. This particular coin, though widely circulated in its time, is now commanding massive interest due to a convergence of features that make it a standout. First and foremost is the condition. You might think a dirty, circulated coin is worthless, but you'd be wrong. In this case, we're dealing with a highly sought-after dirty condition penny, a term collectors use to describe coins that haven't been cleaned or polished and still retain their original surface characteristics. Even if obscured by grime, authenticity in error coins is everything. In circulated dirty condition, this coin becomes even more valuable because it shows no signs of tampering or artificial enhancement. The 19560 wheat penny comes from a mintage of approximately 1.098 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B, making it one of the more common wheat pennies in terms of sheer numbers. However, what elevates this specific coin into the elite collector tier is a rare error involving the repunching of the mint mark known as an RPM, or repunch mint mark. This happens when the letter D for Denver was struck onto the die more than once, often slightly off alignment. The result is a visible doubling or shadowing effect of the mint mark, which adds immediate and significant collector appeal. There are several known varieties of the 19560 RPM, but the one featured in high-value auctions is the D North variety, where the second strike of the mint mark appears slightly north of the original impression. These coins, when verified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, have consistently broken price records. The obverse again features Lincoln's iconic bust, while the reverse holds the classic wheat stalks, wrapping around the denomination and national motto. The surfaces of this coin, when in dirty but undamaged condition, provide a unique historical authenticity that many collectors find desirable. Unlike polished or cleaned coins, which often lose numismatic value, dirty coins in circulated condition with a clear error have grown in popularity for those who want raw evidence of minting history. This specific 19560 error coin tells a story of mechanical inconsistency during the minting process and of the sheer volume of coins being pressed during a booming post-war American economy. It's not just about the RPM error, though. Some specimens of this coin also feature minor die cracks, cuts, or lamination flaws, all of which enhance value. These are considered mint defects, not damage from circulation, and are treasured by collectors as marks of uniqueness. In one high-profile sale in early 2025, a dirty but clearly defined 19560 RPM coin with moderate lamination error sold for $312,000 at a live auction in Texas. This sale surprised even the most experienced coin dealers, as the coin had been graded only a U55, far from uncirculated, but its exceptional errors and untouched original condition made it a must-have for a prominent collection. Other less dramatic examples, with RPM and surface grime, have sold for between $15,000 and $85,000, depending on the prominence of the mint mark doubling and the overall eye appeal of the coin. What makes this coin so valuable in today's market is a combination of nostalgia, rarity in the specific era format, and the increasing demand for American wheat pennies among a new generation of collectors. The wheat cent series ran from 1909 to 1958, and the 19560 is among the last years of issue. As such, it has earned status as a closing chapter coin, the end of an era in American numismatics. Collectors seeking to complete full wheat cent sets are paying top dollar for quality examples of these end-of-series coins, especially with rare errors. Furthermore, investors have begun looking at rare Lincoln cents as alternative assets, betting on their long-term value appreciation as physical artifacts of American history. There's also something undeniably thrilling about finding a coin in dirty circulated condition that turns out to be worth more than a luxury car or even a house. This 19560 large date wheat penny, with its rare RPM error and untouched patina, represents more than copper and zinc. It's a story, a mistake turned into fortune, and a quiet reminder that even coins passed from hand to hand for decades can suddenly become priceless when looked at through the right lens.